Okay, we can start.
Yes.
Hello everyone. Again, my name is Ivan, and I'm here live in London. And today is our another TITO session with our guests that we're gonna have to introduce, and they will be leading us in today's session. I believe many of you have joined in from different countries, different places. I want to thank those who are joining in now. This is another session called the Mentor-Mentee, and I believe one of the things I saw on the flyer, it was a heart-to-heart. If Samsung can mute. Thank you. It's our Mentor-Mentee series, and one of the keywords I found on it is a heart-to-heart conversation with a long-term couple, sharing their journeys, lessons, and wisdom, plus a Q&A where youth get to ask, learn, and grow. So whenever you want to ask anything, we'll be reading into the comments. If you can raise your hands, then we can pick up on you, and then pick it from there what you want to ask, and then we share, or whatever you want to supplement or compliment. We'll be happy to hear from you. So with no waste of time, I want to invite our guests to introduce themselves. First of all, let me say hello to them. I believe it's an evening in Rwanda at the moment. And,
yes, it's an evening. It's an evening.
Yeah. How is your day been? How is your week? And how is the time going so far?
Everything is okay, we thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe, I don't know if you need an introduction, but for our guests that are stranger to our guests, it's the Nkubara family.
Yes,
I believe they'll give us a brief introduction of where their names and probably their ministry they do. Personally, I know they do have a ministry in Kigali English Church, but for some of us, or other people that are joining in that have little or nothing to know, I believe along the way you can introduce, and then we can get into the questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's nice to speak to young people. I'm Peter Nkubara, and my wife. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jackie Nkubara. Nice to talk to you this evening. Yeah, it is an evening, of course, but I know it's different according to your countries. So we are blessed to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you very much. You mentioned of ministries that we might be involved in. There are many ministries that we are involved in. I'm a church elder in Kigali Church. I'm involved in different ministries, including personal ministry that is in charge with evangelism. And I'm also involved, we're also involved in family at Kigali Church and even outside Kigali Church. In so many churches in Rwanda, we are often invited to go and minister to them in the family-related matters. And therefore, we are glad to speak to young people. Bob or Jack has been in the teacher in the Sabbath school for quite some time, including I think Sharon mentioned that at one time she was her student in the Kigali Church when she was still young. So we are involved in these kind of ministries, and we thank God that we are here. And again, as part of the introduction, in connection with what you mentioned, that I would love to hear the journey. It's good to hear and to appreciate which journey. Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? Is it 5 years? Our journey is now as we speak, 30 years. Tuesday we shall turn 30 years. So we have 1 day to go. So we shall be 30 years in a marriage or in a relationship. So we thank God for that journey. Is that enough of the introduction? We have also children, by the way, among other introduction. We have children. One of them is called Bob Nkubara. He's an adult. He's 20 what? Sometimes
he's 29.
Yeah, he's 29. Then we have also Bill. Bill is 20 what?
22.
22. You know, mothers have to know the time the children were born. So we are here and we thank God.
Yeah,
Anything else?
so I think we are all convinced and we're happy to hear from you as well. And one of the comments from Iradukunda is congratulations in advance. So with no further delay, one of the very key questions that one could ask, and this is still part of the introduction, can you briefly share how you met and a little bit your journey together as a Christian SDA Adventist couple?
That's very interesting. Would you like to share maybe how we met, if you don't mind, briefly, as part of the introduction?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. As I told you, as he told you, introduced himself, that we've been married for now 30 years. On Tuesday, it will be 30 years. So we thank God for that. Our marriage, I can say, has been blessed. We thank God for our marriage, and we thank God it had ups and downs. Marriage will never be straight. That's what we can assure you. Marriage is very good, but it's never straight. It has ups and downs, but all in all, when you are together in that marriage and you have the same purpose and you pray together, of course, in happy days, you are happy together. In challenging days, you are together. So marriage is like that. And as you said, how we met, it's a very long journey, which I don't think, okay, we can summarize it, but it's a long journey, which can take a long time. So let's briefly. Yeah, we lived far from each other, so we never knew each other.
Was it in Rwanda or some other country?
Wow. Okay. It was not in Rwanda, it was in another, it was in Uganda.
Yes.
And he knew me before I knew him. I was studying in a place which was far from my home, and I met his young brother there. And we used to meet at the same church. We are not in the same school, but we used to meet in the same church. Every Sabbath we would meet. From there we became friends. And after my HS and his HS, that is a A-level, high school, we went, we left that place, we met again in the same church again. That was in Kampala. And then we continued being friends, and people used to think we are brothers anyway. So from there, because he knew me deeply, because when we are still studying, somehow, because we're from the same church, we became close to each other. And he became like my best friend. But I never knew about his family. I never asked him about his family anyway. I was just, as I was interested only in him because we are students. We are both students. We are still young. So later on, he he connected me in a way which I didn't know to his brother, elder brother. It's a long story, but he connected me to his brother, and later, I think, can you tell them what happened? Because I don't know what he told you.
Yeah, okay. This other young brother of mine, unfortunately, is not alive. He's dead. Had an accident. He told me that all the time that he has been with this young lady, that they were together in school. They would meet at church, like from what she has explained to us. And she told me that as far as he's concerned, she's a God-fearing girl. And he tried to convince me to try and be able to be in touch with this girl. So at least one day we shall be married. So that's it. So I started the journey also when he told me that this young girl is a God-fearing girl. So from there, I also started now trying to know more about her. And one time she came to my office. I was in Kampala, and when I was asking her the details of her names and what have you, she explained to me where she was coming from, and then from there I asked her, are you so and so? Are you coming from this and this? Are you the one who was with my brother? So something like that. So the conversation started from there, and from there we started connecting. And then, cut the story short, then of course I had to introduce the subject. But of course, for some time, I know these ladies, don't know whether the Western, for you are coming from most of you are coming from Western world. But back here in Rwanda, sometimes these ladies will take time to say yes. It took us some time and she could not say yes. But after some time, we thank God that finally she said yes, and then we got married. And here we are, 30 years.
Surprisingly, the first day I met him, I was shocked to find out that he knows my names and where I come from. That was my first surprise. He told me all about my family and many things about myself, which I didn't yet had. It was my first time to meet him and to see him. So that was the first surprise I got from him, because he had got the information from the brother, but the brother had not told me about him anyway. So the first time I met him, he knew me, yet I never knew him.
Didn't know much.
Yeah, I didn't know much about him, but he knew much about me. So that was the first surprise. And on our way, okay, as he introduced the subject of marriage, I remember what he says that we take long. I told him that give me time to pray. And I told him I need an answer from God, not before I say anything. So he had to wait for some time. He waited and he got tired. He waited for a long time, but I had told God, I talked to my God about him, and I said, God, I want a sign. And I told my God about that sign. And he had to wait for it. And he would ask me, has God answered your prayers? Has he given you the sign? I would say, not yet. You keep waiting. Be patient till I get an answer from my God. That's what happened.
So finally,
Finally, God answered my prayer, and he gave me the exact sign I had asked for. So the day God gave me the sign, he also got a surprise, because I said yes before he asked me. Because I got answered without him knowing. So he was surprised. He was also surprised when I told him I'm now ready.
That was an answered prayer to me.
That was an answered prayer to you and to me as well.
Thank you. So then we had to start the journey and then organized the wedding, and the wedding was successful. Everything went on well. And here we are 30 years after.
Absolutely, that's interesting. And I think you touched a little bit of what was the follow-up question. And I can see, like, every one of us is saying that God was involved from the day, or even to within the process of all this happening. So the follow-up question was, how has your faith and Adventist values influenced your relationship? If you can briefly touch on different dynamics of how it has influenced all these 30 years. How has your faith as an Adventist, or even the values of SDA, influenced your relationship?
Yeah, thank you very much. I know, of course, right from the beginning, as you know, God is the author of relationship, God is the author of marriage. And therefore, the foundation, as far as we are concerned, according to the Bible, according to Psalms 127, the foundation of marriage or relationship comes from God. So once you put God first in all your business, then from there things will work. So from the word go, we tried to involve God in our journey. And you are talking of the Adventist faith, yes. Of course, because she was coming from an Adventist background and she was an active young lady, I was also an active Adventist member, and therefore we would find things easier because when it is going to church, for example, 9 o'clock, the program Sabbath school starts 9 o'clock. We're there, we're together, and we understand it. If maybe they have afternoon programs that have been set by the church, we're there together. If there are retreats that are related with maybe with family, we were there together, because I remember one time we got to have our friends from UK. They told us that there is a seminar, couples retreat that has been planned, and these friends of ours organized accommodation for us. He said, okay, you go and look for a ticket so that you can come and join us, because they were having 1 week family retreat or family seminar. So organized the ticket, and then went to UK. And during that time, we had a lot of tips that we got in as far as having stable family relationships is concerned. And we continue having similar meetings wherever we hear there is maybe a meeting that's going on in Kenya or wherever, or in church, we just go for those meetings. So we can say that briefly, when we have the common understanding, that is in family maybe matters, but even other matters to do with the church, whether it is stewardship or whether the youth or whatever departments that are in the church, we speak the same language. We're able to understand each other and work together, and then from there we're able to benefit as a couple, as a husband and wife. So this has helped us having this common understanding from day one, and the benefits have been there, and they are going to be there because we are learning every other day. Thank you. Would you like to add something in as far as the Adventist background is concerned and how we are?
Apart from that, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Even at home, the way we raise our children, the
family altar.
Yeah, to have the family altar, and as people who come from the same faith, it was easy for us, like, to make programs at home for prayers and what to teach our children and what not to teach our children. For example, from day one, we first planned how many children do we want and how are we going to raise up our children. We thought of good ways to raise them. Then we thought of like making sure that we don't show them what they are not supposed to see. For example, we tried our best not to show them TV, not to make sure that there's no
disruption of some kind.
yes, no TV, no such like these funny I can say movies or like these games, these PlayStations, all those games which cannot help them. So we said, let's try. These children should not watch these TVs. They should not have some funny games at home.
I think as
We make sure we give them Bible.
That ends. So I go queue up for food. I think it was
Can we mute for those who so we don't interrupt the presentation, and we allow our guests to speak. If you want to say anything, just raise your hand or drop a message, and then we can give you the chance. Otherwise, we should all mute ourselves and give a chance and time to our guests. Thank you.
We organized like prayer time at home,
morning and evening.
Morning and evening, and yeah, and how to participate with the children and how to involve them in
discussion, like lesson discussion.
Yeah, home discussions, prayers.
Oh.
Yes, so
give them timetable and say so and so you are the one that's going to lead.
Yeah.
In the morning or the evening.
Yeah.
So this kind of involvement also made them also grow.
Yeah. And apart from that, anyway, we had more than one. At first, we had more than one child. Another one came a bit late, but we had more. But we had another child who grew up with our firstborn, so they're almost the same age. So we gave them the same programs at home, so that they grew up together doing the same things. So those are the that one makes it easy for people who come from the same faith.
Over to you.
Thank you. I think that's very powerful that that as young people who are picking inspiration, that work is made easy when both of you are from the same faith, as opposed to marrying from other religions or even marrying from someone who even has no faith at all. I believe that in itself speaks volumes, and it becomes the work became easier for you to conduct, and even raising the children, that you are all on one accord. So I believe the next part is the segment, which we have different segments. So this one, we're going to use about 20 minutes. It has about 3 questions. So it has a headline of navigating dating and relationships. So the first question, what biblical principles guide your approach to dating and relationships? What principles that you find like that you're guiding to dating and relationships as young people who are here that could learn from experience?
Okay, thank you very much. According to Psalms 127, verse 1, it says, unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain, those who build it. So from this, we do understand and appreciate the fact that God is the foundation. And if you involve God in this foundation, then God is going to provide the way and how to go about it. So this was a pillar in as far as understanding our biblical foundation is concerned. And also, according to the Bible, as far as we are concerned, we know that this young man or this man should not be alone according to God, that should make him a helper. And therefore, with that background, we felt that we are one. Therefore, if we are one according to God's foundation, then we need to do things together. Then, according to Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22, We're also told that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So, for example, if I know I'm a man or husband and I need this lady, because it's good to find this wonderful, when you find a wonderful lady, then you're going to work together, you're going to support each other, and according to, of course, the biblical principles, of course, we are told according to Ephesians that the wife is a helper, and we have to work together as a helper and also the husband. So these are some of the principles that have helped us to be able to come together and get that foundation and grow in that direction.
Okay. Go to the next question. Purity, integrity, and respect are one of things that young people are taught or even learn. So how do you prioritize purity, integrity, and respect in your relationship?
Okay. Purity, this has to do with the faithfulness, and when we try to go through why, for example, marriages today are becoming sour and sour, you find one of the big factor is unfaithfulness. And once you try to be faithful to each other, one, that's very critical. Number two, another point also that might be maybe a source of issues in the family is the lack of communication or lack of proper communication. So here also, it has helped us as a family to try to be transparent, to communicate to each other whenever it is necessary. Of course, we are not saying that we are 100%. We are still in the world. We are human beings, but these are principles that have guided us and have enabled us to have this relationship, trying to understand the transparency, the accountability, the faithfulness, and this has helped us so much in as far as having maintaining the integrity. Of course, integrity, however much you may want to develop integrity, but this integrity also comes from God. You have to ask for it from God. However much you may read books and literature, but it may not be sustainable. However much you may want to be to have integrity, but it all comes or stems from the spiritual foundation, like I mentioned about in Psalms 127, verse 1. So once you have this foundation, then these other values that we are talking about, like the integrity, like the faithfulness, like the transparency, all those will be able to follow. So these are what we have tried to apply, and we're not saying that 100%, but we try to go by those principles and those spiritual values, and they help us so much. And also through prayer, because you may want to apply things, but when you don't pray about it, you may be able to fail. So you have to involve God in as far as prayer is concerned, so that God can guide you in as far as this is concerned, and then you move on. And where also things have not worked, sometimes also where you are trying to have this faithfulness, you are trying to be together, but sometimes also you may have issues. When you have issues also, it's good to say sorry to each other, that I'm very sorry. And with the forgiveness also comes as a healing to the other. So these values, of course, they have to be upheld. And whenever there are issues, we try to ask for forgiveness from each other and say sorry. So, but when you don't say sorry, sometimes it becomes very difficult. In the case there are issues, in the case there are conflicts, it becomes difficult for one to heal. But if you sincerely say sorry, then this becomes a medicine or a healing method of you guys coming together and have mutual understanding.
Thank you. Another interesting part is relationships. Some people think a bed of roses, where you find an angel, like you hear in the song, my angel sent from heaven, only to realize when they get into relationships, there are challenges that happen. One might want hot tea, another one wants it cold, different challenges. And then the expectations are not what they always had. So can you share personal experience where you had to navigate challenges? That was just an example I was giving. So can you share a personal experience where you had to navigate challenges in your relationship while maintaining your Adventist values?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very good question. Of course, in this journey, challenges will always be there or have always been there. So, but what's important is to get a way out of those challenges. And how to get a way out of those challenges? Of course, it depends on the type of challenges. Some might be, for example, financial. You define maybe you may want to acquire something, to buy something, but sometimes maybe money is not there. One might maybe to understand, might have maybe a different understanding on how this money can be raised. So you sit down, and as you're aware, or may not be aware, if there is any factor in terms of bringing sour relationship in marriage, is finance. So whenever there are those issues of finances, we come together, go to the drawing table and say, now, this is where we are, this is what you want to buy. Maybe we don't have maybe enough money, enough funds to be able to buy this and this. So we develop a strategy of maybe giving ourselves the time to be able to mobilize this money and pray about it. So that is in terms of finances. But of course, there could also be some issues that might be related with the parenting. I know parenting also, like she mentioned, parenting, much as it is good, well, children is a sign of blessings from God, but also parenting styles also might differ in a way. For example, as you know, the Rwandese setup, the traditional African Rwandese setup, you find it is the father maybe that is going to do the punishment, for example, in case a child maybe misbehaves, you know. But if maybe this other father is not around and maybe he's going to work and he comes maybe after 6-7 hours and the punishment has not been effected there and then, that also poses another problem, another challenge. But as mother and father, as father and husband, you try to involve everyone. For example, maybe the father is, I'm not around, and maybe this other child, when he misbehaved, the mother would also take time and take action there and then and be able to punish this child instead of waiting for the father who might come maybe after 6 hours. So those are some of the things that you have to agree on, and you have to keep developing whenever those challenges come. You try to get a way out in as far as solving these problems or these challenges are concerned. But of course, having said that, like you guys who are, maybe some of you are not yet, of course, married or in a relationship, and maybe you have not set a date, or maybe some of you are still searching. There are things that, of course, you might not imagine in life. Of course, when you are together, when you get married, for example, there could be a time maybe when maybe me, I want, when you are in bed, for example, I want maybe to cover myself with a blanket. And maybe the wife says, no, I don't want to have a blanket. I want to cover myself with a bed sheet, for example. Those are a few things that you might not think that they will come up. But as they come up, they might not necessarily be a very strong, cause for issues. But you try to agree to each other on how some of these things as they come, you try to get a way out. So communication is very critical in as far as these challenges, whenever they come, whether they are financially related or whether maybe parenting related, or maybe even as Christians, we are talking of Adventists as Christians. We are Christians and have the Adventist background, but also time management can be also another problem. For example, if maybe we're supposed to be at church maybe 8 o'clock, but you find maybe you might find that someone maybe has late to prepare himself or herself. So you try also to and improve and have maybe a way you can work together. For example, maybe if the children are still young, and maybe the mother has to struggle so much to prepare the children to go to church. Maybe the father is for him is dressed up and expects this mother or this wife to do quickly and be able to keep time. So in this case, you try and work together. If maybe it's dressing the children, at least the father can try and dress the children so that you don't have issues that when you are going to church and the Sabbath is supposed to be a day of happiness. So you start now having quarrels now even before you go to church. By the time you reach church, you find both of you are not happy, and yet Sabbath is supposed to be a day of happiness. So you try to get away every other day, try to get away, work together as husband and wife, and whenever these issues come up or whenever these challenges come up, at least you try to get a solution or maybe a way out. So that's what I think. Maybe Mama has maybe something to add in terms whenever there are challenges. How do these challenges get addressed?
Okay. In a home of two people who are brought up in different backgrounds, you will never fail to have some challenges and misunderstandings somehow. But the way you solve them is the difference. For example, I remember one day I told, I had, it was on Sabbath, and I brought some milk, chivuguto. I know some of you know chivuguto. So I remember he told me that jar is broken. There was a crack in the jar. So I said, there's no problem. The crack is inside. It's not serious. We can drink it. He said, no, I cannot drink this chivuguto from the broken jar. So somehow the argument went there for a long time, because I was telling him, please, even me, I'm going to take it. Take it, no problem. It took us some time. He had refused to take it. I wanted him to take it. And I was telling him I'm taking it as well. I said, no, you are going to die, you die alone. So, like, when our son was still young, and he watched us, but we didn't know he was watching. He was listening anyway, but we didn't know he was listening about it. Later on, like after a year, he told me about it, and he was saying it's not good. So such things, they come in a family. What we have learned that when something comes, like which can make us argue or have arguments in between us, quickly one of you should be ready to say, okay, I will look at it. Let us stop there. We don't take time arguing on something. So we learned that one. When something comes and like we don't understand it the same way, we have learned. I do it faster, or he does it sometimes as well, to say that, okay, let's leave it. Let's leave it and then go and think about it and pray about it. Then later on, we see what will come out. And we have done it, and it really helped. There's a time when he came and asked for something, a document, and I told him, he told me it's me who had it. I said, and he wanted it badly. And I said, okay. I said, but it's you who had. But when I could try to recall, I would see him having it, not me. But I remember that, okay, we learned it from a seminar that never have arguments. Try to solve them faster than they become hot. So I said, okay, I have it. I'm going to look for it. I went in the bedroom. I knelt down. I prayed. I said, God, I don't know where this thing is. Kindly show us where it is, because though I have agreed that I'm the one with it, but as I remember, as I tried to recall, I think he's the one with it, but I didn't want us to argue. So later on, like after one day, he told me, do you know what? I have discovered the thing. It is in my office. The document is in my office. So it's good you didn't argue, but I've got it. I'm sorry. It's me who has it. So you see, we didn't argue, but later after praying, he got to know that he is the one with the document. So we continue using that method. Like we don't argue. We stop when we feel like we don't understand something. We stop before we argue, and we go think about it and pray about it. And later we have done it several times, and later on we find it in the opposite to the opposite person. The one who thought he doesn't have it is the one who has it. So, but it helped us not to argue. That's what we use. That's one of the methods we use to see that in the home there's more of peace and joy than having misunderstandings. It helps the family to have no misunderstandings.
So in fact, as we were saying, let nobody deceive you. Of course, we are Christians, but of course, some challenges might come from a different angle. But what's important is to have the willingness and the spirit to be able to understand each other, and then
and how to manage them.
And how to manage them and come to a common understanding.
Yes, thank you very much. And I can see there is a comment here. Thank you so much for sharing details and examples. Yeah, I believe we are blessed by your comments. So that was Sharon. And the next part is the segment 2. It's to do with healthy relationships. And the first question is, what does a healthy relationship look like to you? And how do you cultivate that in your own relationship?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, healthy relationship, this is where you are at par. You're on the same page in most of your plans. Maybe you want to have, want to construct a house. For example, you have to have a common understanding what kind of house maybe would you want to construct. Like from what she said also, in terms of maybe planning, family planning, how many children do we want? Okay. So where after they grow up now, where do we want them to go to school? Which school do they go to? You know? So when you talk of healthy relationship, it is those things that that you are involved in day to day, in terms of going to church, like you mentioned about going to church, or maybe participating in the church activities. So how do you manage, for example, in terms of, because you might want maybe to have common understanding on a few things that that maybe both of you are involved directly, but there are also some other external factors. Or maybe some external interference. For example, we are, as Africans, there's what you call these other family members, the in-laws. For example, you might be staying at home, and you have other in-laws that maybe like you are dependent. They have to depend on you. Maybe pay for their school fees. Maybe so they are maybe related to you, or maybe some might not even be related to you in blood. But at the same time, as Christians, also you have to help. So in other words, when you are not able to have on the same understanding, these issues will come up. For example, if maybe they are relatives from her side, and maybe they want support from us, and maybe me, I'm not happy. So things might not work. Or maybe have relatives from my side, and I want them to be supported, and maybe she's not happy with the supporting them. So you might find maybe some of those conflicts that are coming from outside might come in one way or the other. So again, like we said, what is very critical and very important to have healthy relationship is to bring on the table something immediate. You don't have to keep it for some time, because if maybe there are differences and maybe you are not able to bring them on the same table, then you might not have a good or healthy relationship. So in other words, you don't have to prolong issues whenever they come or some differences. So bring them on the table and have to resolve them as quickly as possible. Then also another point that is very critical in having a healthy relationship is to try to listen to each other. If maybe she has something that she has to bring up on the table, me, although I'm supposed to be the head of the family, but I have to listen. I have to listen to her because she might have sense, she might have sense of wisdom. So I have to listen. But there are times when a few things that maybe the couples might not, one of them might not want to listen. I said, this is a woman now. What is she going to talk about? So sometimes, and when you neglect that, and of course, she cannot be happy with that. So listening is also very critical. Then also in terms of avoiding hurting the feeling of the other. You know, there are things that you might you might do, can I say, maybe unconsciously, and you hurt the feeling of your fellow spouse. Then that's not good, because you might hurt her or she might hurt me in what she's talking about, and maybe some negative talk of some kind, and in a way you find I might be hurt emotionally or she might be hurt emotionally. So that's also not good, because you may not have a healthy relationship. So you have to get a way out and try to have a common understanding together. So at least most of the things that are concerning the family, you have to have a common understanding. Then also there are times, you know, when these ladies are pregnant, for example, she's delicate. So if she's delicate, you know, she's maybe pregnant, at least the way you were handling her before she became pregnant, you have to know that now she's now in a different state altogether. You have to try and be able to be supportive during the journey of 9 months to ensure that she's happy, and also you understand her, because sometimes these ladies, biologically from what we hear, things might change with her as they get pregnant. And you as a husband, if you are not aware of that, you might think that maybe this wife of yours has changed. Maybe she's negative, she's not a good wife as she used to be before she was pregnant. So if you are not having that understanding, you as a husband, you might find that the relationship is becoming unhealthy, and yet it is not her. It is her body that has changed, and you find you are not in a good or healthy relationship. So it's good to appreciate that maybe she's pregnant, and therefore let me try to be patient with her and support her where possible. And then after the 9 months, after she has delivered the baby, you find, because you have been patient with her, you find now she's understanding you and you understanding her. Otherwise, if you frustrate her when she's pregnant, even tomorrow, this child is going to be affected at the end of the day. So that healthy relationship will come from different angle, and therefore you have to always cultivate a healthy relationship, whatever that might bring reference, try to ensure that you are together on the same page. Maybe you want something to add in as far as establishing a healthy relationship is concerned.
Okay. Again, thank you. Having a healthy relationship is to know your spouse. Especially these developed countries where you have equal rights. Some ladies find it that's hard, like it's my right, I'm educated, I have a good job. Possibly my husband has a job, but it's not earning as much as I'm doing as mine. So you find like this respect, ladies fail to respect and to feel like these husbands are the head of the families, and you feel like if you have a good job, that means you try to behave as if you are the head, yet you are a lady. And as you know, in the Bible, God made our husbands the head. Even if you are having a good job, but still our husbands are the head of the families, and they will ever be the heads of the families. So I can say that some ladies, they fail to be humble, and know that this husband of mine, though he's not as educated as I am, but he still is the head of the family. He needs his ego. See, husbands have ego. Men have ego.
And ladies also have their.
And if we step on their ego, then things will go bad. Things will go bad because you are stepping on their ego. If he knows he's a man and he's really a man, he's the head of the family, he might be weak physically, he might be weak spiritually, he might be weak financially, but he is the head of the family. He remains the head of the family. That is from the Bible. And if we don't give them the respect they deserve, then that one can also bring a conflict in the home. Where, like, for example, you met when both of you were working, and for a reason which you cannot know, he somehow loses his job, and you start working alone now. There, what a person and a Christian lady should be doing, that's now the right time to respect and love him more than ever, because he's facing a challenge which he doesn't feel really comfortable with. So there, he needs more love, more respect, and more care. Where possible, put something on his account so that at least he will not move without money, or he will not start asking for money. Make sure he doesn't feel that thing of like, I'm jobless. I'm jobless. I'm nothing in this home. That one can also bring conflicts, though he might not want to mention it, to show it, but he will feel it. I'm now being dependent on my wife. He's doing everything. She's the one who has the money. That one brings also, it's a challenge to men. So for Christian ladies and good ladies, what they do, when your spouse has a challenge, as he said before, that when the wife is expecting, that's when the husband should be closer to her. The same applies to the husbands. When they are not in good moods, or they are not in financially standing well, that's when the wives should come closer to them. That's when they need them closer, because they are weak where they are supposed to be strong. When you do that, by all means, that home will be happy. How? Because you are together in bad times or in challenging times. To know your spouse in good times and in bad times, to know that now my wife is having some challenges, I need to be closer to her than ever. That's of course, the responsibility of a good husband, to know that this girl, this lady of mine, whom I loved before, and that time she was like this, or now she's sick, she's weak, or she's facing some challenges. We have different challenges in this world. There, when your spouse is having challenges, that's when you have to be closer and closer than ever. There, that one makes a big change. And when all those things are overcome, then you will laugh together, and you will smile together, and we talk about the challenges together, because in those bad times you were together. And that's where many people are failing. They are failing to know, when is my spouse facing some challenges, whether sick challenge, health challenges, financial challenges, spiritual challenges. When you can have a spouse who is now facing some spiritual challenges as well. What you do is to not have time to pray for him or her. Pray for him. Pray than you have ever prayed, because now he's facing some challenges which needs prayers. The doctor, the need is now the prayer. Instead of like saying that this husband of mine or this wife of mine, I don't know what he's doing, I don't know what's wrong with him, or you run to God and tell him what is going on, and he knows what is going on, but he wants to see how serious you are. Pray about it. Show your challenge to God. Show the challenge of your spouse to God. Then God will come over, and that's what will make that family happy in the future, when you have overcome the challenge, and now you are in good times.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe on top of what she has said, health relationship is wide, and it is it's a package. For example, when you are married, it's advisable that at least you try to complement each other in terms of, if maybe she has done something good, I say thank you very much. I've done this. Thank you so much. If maybe she's has put in maybe a good dress, or maybe she has gone to a salon and maybe she looks smart, tell her you are smart. So these compliments, they mean a lot to appreciate each other. Also, the eating together is also another source of healthy relationship. I know, of course, you guys who are from the Western world, we hear it's very difficult or complicated for people to eat together. You'll find maybe the wife is here working this morning, and maybe the husband is the same morning is working elsewhere, and they're not together. You might find maybe they are eating, maybe like they're eating together, maybe like once, maybe in a week. Okay, depends on where you guys the life takes you, but it is advisable, because the more you eat together, the family that eats together, they stay together. Also, we talk of whenever there is a moment of holding each other, because she talked of the ego of men. The ego of men, of course, to get the respect that they deserve, and this respect came from God. But also, these ladies also, they need the care, that has to be special. So they needed to have the special care, and you appreciate them, and where possible, just to hold them. When you hold each other, maybe hands, maybe like you are maybe moving around, or maybe doing some maybe sports. You are walking, you are jogging, you are together. It adds some value, and this also brings some kind of healthy relationship. So it is a package. It's a package, and you keep developing, of course, as time goes on.
And before you go far,
yes,
as you said, complimenting on your spouse is very good. He does it very well. Like, you have cooked food, you have prepared food. Even if it is burnt, he will say, "Oh, this food is good. Next time it will be better." Oh, even if salt is too much, he says, "Oh, hey, this food is sweet. Yeah. Next time we put in just less salt." Less salt. You see, when you say less salt, it's different from when you say this salt is too much. Say just less salt. You take it as if it is something simple. And instead of saying like, this food is bad, this food, you always become negative. He tries to be very positive in everything. And like, even if something was not very good, but he tries to make it in a way that it sounds good, yet it was not good as well. But of course, as a wise person, you know what to do now next time. Though he has not said that something's bad, but you get a positive way to say it. For example, the food was not ready on time. And like, oh, we are supposed to go on to somewhere on time, and you go late. And he says, "Oh, but this next time, let us try to, to make it better. Not that today we are very late. He makes it in a way that you feel like you are not hurt, though you can see that there's something wrong about it, but it's the way he brings it out. It's not hurting. So that one also makes the home always happy because of the way you compliment. You know, when it is something good, of course, you are smart, the food is so sweet. Next time, I think it's you who will prepare again. Of course, he knows, but of course, yeah, you have maids, and sometimes they prepare very bad food. And you find that you don't have time to go and prepare food. But like when you go to the kitchen, the food comes different. It says, oh, I think I can guess it is you today. So like now we know that next time I think I will go to the kitchen more than I've been doing it because of the way he does it. So I think like that's the what can make the home happy and always going on.
Yeah, thank you very much. And also, there are a few things that maybe you might we might not consider so much important, but they are critical. In terms of making the other person feel good, because sometimes we are invited in different churches, especially outside the church, in the rural setup, and we separate men and women and trying to hear their comments. And in most cases, these ladies will tell us that, go and tell our men that, you see, they don't appreciate us. Every time now it comes from work, say the food is not good, the food is not well cooked, there's no salt, there's no what. Every time, when from January to December, these ladies were telling us, you see, you go and tell our husbands. From January to December, does it mean that I have never prepared a good food? So those things, they're very important. They can be hurting to these ladies who have struggled with the kitchen office. So it's good to appreciate them. Then also, when you get time, also it's good to set time maybe to play together, not pray, but to play together. You can just have maybe like now on weekend, maybe just have time to joke together and do the if you are not a football fan and maybe you have children, let us say the mother come and watch maybe the father playing with the children. So that is also fun to make the home healthy in terms of the children. They're happy to play, to be having fun with the father. But even also the mother can also come in and join. So those small things you might call small, they are very critical and make a healthy relationship. Then also, having said that, you want to advise also young people when you get married, it's advisable, and this is biblical, by the way. I know some of you who are in the Western world, it's very difficult, it's very challenging. According to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 5, whenever a young man was married to a young girl, it was advisable they be together for at least a year. I know this when the world which is crazy today, but where possible, try to be together at least when you are newly wed. But here comes the situation where maybe you are newly wedded. We said maybe talk about maybe the Rwanda chapter, because for example, husband might be working from the western Rwanda, and maybe the wife is working maybe in the northern province, and maybe they meet on over the weekend. So I think when you are newlywed, I think it's very dangerous. Of course, even if you have been you have been together for some time, but even then, where possible, you need to be together for some time, because if you are not together for some time, this is where the devil will come in. So try and be together for some time, where possible, so that you can have a healthy relationship.
And sometimes the way our young people do it, they do it the opposite way. Before they get married, they move together as if they are married. Now, when the time comes for them to get married, then you find that they are no longer moving together. So there's a way when we do things in an opposite way. We move together when the time is not yet right for us to move together. Yes, we should know each other, but then we avoid being like people who are married to each other before we are married. That one also, it makes like your marriage, it weakens your marriage before you are married, because you behave like people who are married before you are married. Then by the time you get married, you'll be tired of each other. Now we have seen all the mistakes and all the whatever, everything. because like you've been moving like, although you are supposed to know each other, it's good to know each other very well. And while you are praying prayerfully, but still be careful to move like people who are married or like people who are living together before you live together. Also, that one can bring up a phobia marriage. Like before you live together, you become one. You become one before you are supposed to be one. So you have to be also
Careful
about it.
So there's a lot we have talked about health relationship, but briefly, those are
of
some.
Course, the health relationship, you start it before you get married. Also, you don't start it when you are married. You start it before you get married. First of all, it has to be, you have to do it prayerfully. When you do it, but in fear of God. That means you start building your house before, of course, as you know, you start with the foundation, the house, the normal house. So that is the foundation. When you start with in fear of God, then it will help you again when you are married. That means you start your house before you're married, and then you enter the marriage when you started it well. It becomes God blesses it and becomes a healthy marriage. You don't start healthy marriage when you have just entered it. That means because these days people like, I don't know, in this Western world, like people like to living together before you are married. There's a very big risk of having a broken marriage after, because their trust is gone. Because when a person comes and lives with the other before they are married, first of all, there's no God's blessings in that marriage. It's very risky. God will not be in it. Yes, you might go to church and you wed in church, but you didn't start with God. Again, trust also becomes less. When a person sees you cheating before you start your marriage, he will know that even after you can cheat. So it will bring less trust. And of course, there's a saying in Kinyarwanda, I don't know whether you understand it, ngo agaseke gapfundikiye gatera iki?
Amatsiko.
Amatsiko. So something, when they bring a gift, when it's sealed, packed in a good gift
Packaging.
bag. Yeah, the packaging is attractive. Of course, before you depending on the way you have you decorated it, one will want to know what is inside. So please, it's good, people, your gifts to the person whom God will choose for you, and people will want to know what is in the package, what is in the gift box, in the box, because you have not revealed yourself to each other before the right time. Also, that one makes the marriage healthy after.
Then from what she's saying, I think it's biblical. It's very critical because, of course, young people today were sorry maybe to be judgmental. It's like now premarital sex is becoming something that is normal. So this is very dangerous because as Christians, it's committing sin. So, but of course, over time, the devil is trying to dilute it as if it is just normal to have sex before official marriage. You have to know that it is very dangerous, and of course, it is sin before God. Because as far as we are concerned, according to the experts in the family, they will say that yes, the divorce, one of the factors that might lead to the higher percentage of divorce is that these two people have been together, they have been saved together, they have involved in sex before marriage. So these are experts who are not necessarily, by the way, Christians. These are statistics that have come up with that most likely if you are involved in sex before official marriage, know that divorce is knocking at your door. And of course, these are experts that have brought it up, but even biblical, as you know, it's not allowed, it's not good for Christians to enter into sex before the official marriage. So try and avoid it, and where possible, because this is the devil. The devil will bring it and kind of make it so simple as if it is just normal. And when you see maybe other friends have done it before, you find it is also becoming somehow normal. This is how the devil works, to try and make things normal when they are not, when they are abnormal. So as Christians, let's try to protect our future relationship as much as possible by not getting involved in sex before the official marriage.
That one also makes a healthy marriage after. That's one of the things which makes healthy marriage. When you start with God in your marriage, that means you have started with God, with in God's plan, whereby you involve God. Of course, you cannot involve God and then you go to the other side. You do what's wrong, what's sin before God. But when you happen to call God first in your marriage, before you start your marriage, when you're organizing your marriage, God will step in. And and what I want to assure you, challenges they will come. By all means, they will come. But remember that you involved God first. I remember there's a time when I would have challenges. We would have challenges in our marriage, in a family. Then I would kneel down and tell God, God, remember, I called you before I started this home. Now here is the challenge and it is too heavy for me. Kindly come. Like you went, like you restored I always have the promise I tell God, like you did to the wedding of Cana. So please, God, here the challenge is too heavy. I would go and cry to God, please remember I involved you before I started this home. Now the challenge has come and I'm feeling there's nothing I can do on it. It's too much for me. Please, God, come. And I use this term that the wine is over. The wine is over. Please bring yours. Provide, because wine it's empty. It's empty. The jars are empty. Kindly come. So when I do that, I see God coming in. And really, he comes in and he stands between the challenge and the family, and we see miracles.
Yeah, with that, I think it's good for young people to need to emphasize this, because we see it today. It's like now becoming something that's normal. When Christians, when it's just normal, you are moving with this girl, it's good to move with her. But then having sex together, it's a sin against God, because as you know, according to Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 says, our bodies are the temples of God. And also according to Romans chapter 13, verse 14 says, make no provision for the lust. So it's just natural. You're young people, you are trying the opposite. Of course, you attract each other because the opposite sex will be able to attract each other. But you have also to resist that and be able to resist that, and know that wait for your time. And once you wait for your time, the right time, when you are officially married, that's when you will enjoy even much better. Thank you.
And you'll be able to talk about the challenges you met on your journey. Yes, it's easy and you really enjoy to talk about the challenges you met when you overcame them. But when, of course, you failed, it's hard to repeat the challenges you met. That's why it's, where possible, put God in it, and you will enjoy later on.
Indeed. And I think
yes.
You wanted to say something?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we would love to have as much time as we can. But I believe this is the moment we would want to open the audience. any young person who has any question, feel free to unmute, raise a hand, and we can give you the chance. Otherwise, before I can let anyone say anything, there's some comments here, and one of them is from Sharon. He commented in the message, "It helps to learn that issues are normal, but with God, patience and commitment, people overcome. This is a great lesson for us as youth to know that marriage is not a bed of roses, but when people learn to work together, it's sweet. There has to be patience and being too quick to leave." And then she also added, "This is so sweet. It's important to talk nicely to each other, honestly but kindly." So at this stage, if there is anyone who has any questions, feel free to unmute, or you can drop it in the inbox message. Or you can raise.
They could also supplement. Why not?
This is Jean-Pierre. I had a question. Thank you so much first for sharing your experience. It's very important and very informative, and also it sheds light to maybe some of the things that young adults or youth are dealing with today, or married couples, where they may benefit from what you just said. It's very important, very useful. But my question goes to your wife. So initially, when you were trying to be together, I guess you approached her first to say, "Hey, would like to marry you," and she took her time, took a long time. So I'm asking her, like, what made it take a long time? Is it because you were not ready to get married? Is it because maybe you had somebody else you were more interested in? Or is it because you needed maybe to to be very careful and pray about it, even though you still saw him as your potential husband? Like, what made you take so long to accept him?
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Jean-Pierre.
Jean-Pierre. Thank you, Jean-Pierre.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
So what made me take long was one thing. Of course, I had many people who were running after me, but apart from that, I gave him time. I told him, I'm going to pray about it. But there I was praying now, showing God about him, and said, "God, is he the one? If he is the one, kindly, I want to give you the sign I want. So if that one happens, I will know he's the one." And I tried to look for something which was something complicated, hard to get, so that I said that if it is God's plan, then it will happen. And if it's not God's plan, it will not happen. So what I did, I avoided moving with him. I avoided standing with him. I avoided calling him. I said, let me wait for that. Who would call me after a long time and say, "Has God answered your prayer?" I said, "Not yet." Then he would leave again and go and keep quiet. I think he was also praying, but me, I was busy praying. Till God showed me the sign I had asked him. So after I saw the sign, I became the first to tell him that now I'm ready to get married now. He was surprised, because it's like I surprised him, because I had got the answer which I had asked God for. So that's what took time, because prayers, they cannot be answered immediately. And for him, he was almost getting tired. he would ask me, he would call me and ask me, has God answered your prayers? Not yet. I said, not yet. Then he would just keep quiet. We kept it as like it was a secret between ourselves because anyway, the first person who connected us was no longer alive. So we knew the secret, but we didn't try to open it up because we were waiting for the answer first. Because I was saying that, what if God says no when I have revealed it? So had I say that, let me not reveal it before I know the answer, so that I will not get disappointed.
So Jean-Pierre, thank you very much. Yeah, thought the question was addressed to her. Let me also add something. You know, in a relationship or maybe in a courtship, you are not going to have the same model. We are speaking to you guys now. It doesn't mean that you have to copy what we did. No. Every relationship, every couple will have their uniqueness. So all you have to do is just to pray to God. When you pray to God, then God will give you a way out. But something that is very critical is that young people, of course, as you know, of course, we are now talking of the 30 years now journey. Of course, when she says that me, I try to avoid him, that we not work together so much, like, but of course, you're in a different world together. So we don't want to you may not understand that formula, but this is how we found ourselves in. So we don't want you to copy 100% our model of doing things, but all you have to do is to have to trust God and involve God, and God will give you a way out. And having said that, it's good also to know that in these engagements, when you're getting engaged, of course, we don't want to bring this kind of maybe can I say bad news per se. You are together for some time, but at the same time, you find at the end of the day, there is this relationship that you have to ask yourself, why am I entering into this relationship? By the way, is it to get children? Is it to get maybe financial benefit from the other? So it's good you have to define if you want to enter into a relationship. You have to define, what do I want now from this girl? What do I want from this boy? So down the road, if you are in courtship and somehow things you feel that this person is not going to help you to lead you to heaven or to become a good candidate for heaven, according to Ellen G. White, it's advisable that better break the engagement before marriage than separate afterwards, as many do. This according to Adventist Home, page 48. So she advises that in the event that you see that this other person you are engaged in, you are getting engaged in, somehow it might affect your spiritual growth or spiritual journey, and at the end of the day, you lose heaven, you would rather break that engagement. So that's why you have to involve God in as much as possible in this journey. But young people today just wake up one day, you have met this young guy, you have met this young girl, just a matter of 1 month and 2 months, and then you decide to say, now we are going to get married. I think that's not right. You have to take time, pray about it, involve God to be able to direct you. But once you want to direct yourself, so maybe you go by the peer pressure, because as you are aware, we are aware, these days, some young people go by peer pressure. Say, no, so and so, we're together in school, they have got married. Also, sometimes the parents also might also pressurize you. Say, now, you guys, you daughter of ours, what are you waiting for? Others are getting married. Yeah? What are you waiting for? So we have to be very careful. Marriage is a sensitive institution. You don't have to rush. When you rush, you might crash. So it's advisable. Take time, pray about it. You don't have to rush. When you rush, you end up also in a mess. And that mess which you end up, you will stand to regret forever. I have not seen any person that has been in a relationship and then they divorce, and you find maybe somehow is better off than he was before. You will find somehow this person has been affected in one or the other. He used to be happy, but he cannot be happy.
And the children are affected.
And the children are affected. Everybody is affected. Why? It's because God, according to Malachi, he says, I hate divorce. So if God is saying that I hate divorce, it means those are consequences that will come with it. So try and avoid it and have a strong foundation from day one. When you get a good foundation, then you are sure that at least your relationship, your marriage is going to be successful.
And especially when you're looking for a spouse, look for a person whom you have the same
More in common.
More in common.
Many things in
Yeah,
common.
many things in common than having less things in common. Because now, if like when you're getting a spouse, first think of this. Will I go with this person to church together? Will we sit in our living room together and pray together? Where will our children go to church? Will we take them to church together? Now, when we come to the side of like parenting, what I want is what I'm interested in is what you'll be interested in. Because I know of a family whereby like their children, they got married and the husband told the wife that everything is okay. I love your church. I love your faith. No problem. Everything is okay. When they gave birth to children, they grew. When the children grew up, some were weak in classes at school. Then the husband started, the children should go to church on Sabbath. And the wife was like, no, you told me our children will be going to church on Sabbath. Now, how are they going to go to school on Sabbath? Said, you see, so-and-so is weak. He needs to learn more and he needs coaching and he needs this and this. Because the man was not understanding about going to church on Sabbath, now he started putting the wife on pressure that the child should go to church, the children should go to school on Sabbath. And the wife, in her lifestyle, she had never gone to church and she knew it was wrong. So you might think that you are together, but not until they let the children come in. Now we start having challenges. He will tell you now, do you know what? We have a wedding on this day and we have to go there. You see, that person was my friend, my close friend, and this, because though he came, he told you everything was okay, but not until you live together and you see that it's not okay. Those changes will come, and there you have like that same family. The wife was, when they give children some church work to do at school, at home, assignments, she's the one who does everything alone because the husband doesn't know anything about the wife's faith. When it comes to pray, like she was telling me, when she calls the children to pray in the evening, the husband is in bed and he calls the children, come and we pray together, just praying now. They are playing, not praying. They want to have fun in bed. The mother is calling the children to come and sit in the sitting room to pray, and the father is calling them in the bedroom to pray. You see? So that like the mother would cry, say, my God, what should I do? When I want these children to pray with me, and the father is calling them there. So it comes in like that. And the husband does not take alcohol, neither does he smoke. He doesn't take all those things. But when it comes to the subject of worship, the husband doesn't want and doesn't know anything about it. He's a good husband who never goes to church. He's a good husband who doesn't know anything about prayer. What he does. And now as the children grow, some of them, of course, will follow the father. So those are the challenges which comes in. And later on, others come. Those are the ones which we can say, but they do come. We have seen many challenges which come later on. Yet, when they are getting engaged, the spouse was saying, it's okay, I like your church. I like you. There's no problem. There's no problem. Your church is good. They don't take alcohol. They don't smoke. I know. That's what I like. But not until they come. You come in action now. Things do change. They do change. So it's good to build your foundation early, and you build it well on a strong your house well on a strong foundation. That's when you expect to have a healthy family.
In other words, for example, what she's trying to say, maybe they could have maybe in this audience mentor, maybe some people that are not maybe of this, maybe Adventists that are listening to us, maybe they could be from a different faith. It's okay. If she's an Anglican, get an Anglican.
Get an Anglican.
If you're a Catholic, get a Catholic. Yes. Because the more you have...
A Muslim, get a Muslim.
Yes, if you're a Muslim, get a Muslim. Because the more you have things in common, then your relationship is more likely to be healthier. But now if you start now teaching now this other person your new faith, it becomes very difficult when you are newly married. It becomes very difficult. So it's advisable that you get this other person that you share common common faith, and that works better. But of course, people will tell you, of course, no, I can bring this girl and convert. Okay, she can accept, come and be converted and get baptized, and then she's in the same line. But after some time, it becomes very difficult. The other old person, before she got married, is likely to be more of that in that direction than the new faith. So it's advisable that birds of the same feather, they do what?
They fly
together.
together.
So it's advisable. So if you are a Protestant, marry a Protestant. If you're a Catholic, marry a Catholic. If you're Adventist, marry a Catholic. By the moment you start Adventist. By the moment you start planning it to make your home an evangelistic campaign, you don't have to bring a mafuna in your home because the things might not work. So bring a person that is already made in terms of that faith.
At least you put their strategies of how to lead your new family, not the strategies of bringing of converting a person. You see, the time would have taken to put up the strategies of your new family, how your family will be organized, and whatever you want, you will start now. For you, instead of organizing a new family, you start organizing camp meeting in a family because you're organizing how to change that person. And remember, we are not the ones who change people. Or you might be the one to be changed anyway. Yeah, chances are that you might be the one to be changed. Or you might think you are going to change a person, but you cannot change a person. You have no power to change a person. A person is changed by the Holy Spirit, not by a fellow person. Yeah. Forget about changing a person, by the way. Forget about that. She might come to your church, but she's not changed. That doesn't mean that she has changed.
Over to you. Jean-Pierre, are you happy?
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe what I was thinking also I could add is even though you may be from the same church, going to the same church, it does not necessarily mean that you have the same level of faith. Some people are following others to go to church because it's a tradition, but their relationship with God is not as strong as you, who wants to be their partner. So you're still going to struggle.
Jean-Pierre, that's very good. That's very important because they are what you call nominal Christians. If maybe I'm registered in the church, but I'm just there nominally. But you might find that I'm not even a true Christian. But in the books, in the church books, I'm there. So I think what Jean-Pierre is trying to say, it's better to get a spiritual person, not necessarily a person of the same so-called nominal member of that church. You may get a nominal member of that church, but then you find it's not spiritual. So better get.
That's where prayer comes in, because there's no way you can measure a person. It's hard unless you pray for the Holy Spirit, for God's guidance. But it's hard to know a person who is strong in faith, because they can be in church. There are some people who are in church, but they are taking like alcohol. There are some people who are in church, their lives, they are moving up and down, they are not stable. So that's where prayer comes in. Because when you pray, God shows you everything, because that's what God does. That's God's job, to show you if you pray, to give you what you have prayed for. If you want a stable family, a happy family, you ask it from God, because God is the one who knows now that person who will be fit for you. As you see, me and him, we don't have the same, I can say,
traits,
characteristics. His weakness might be my strength. My strength is his weakness.
But you complement each other.
Where I'm weak, he's strong. Where he's weak, I'm strong. There we move together happily.
So you don't have to get a person of the same personality. No, because how when you are different, in a way she will bring her package and I bring my package. When you bring those that are different, you bring them together to find a good combination comes up. Because, for example, if maybe she's talkative and I'm also talkative, at the end of the day, the house can be on fire. So it's good to have at least one who is cool, another one maybe talkative. Someone is this, there are those that get annoyed so quickly, others are cool.
They're hot-tempered.
Hot-tempered.
But that's what God does for us. Because for us, when we meet, sometimes we pretend to be very good, both of us. We hide the bad side of it, of ourselves.
But the fresh will come up.
But then that's where God comes in. God knows that the negative side which we are hiding. And he knows that one, his character will cover me. It will cover me and we'll be all safe. He knows his weaknesses. Possibly in that weakness he has, me, I'm strong there. So it will cover him as well. So that's where it's very critical to involve God especially in our marriage before before we build our houses.
Because there are these personalities that will feature. You might not have, maybe you're in a country for 2 years, and somehow you have not seen this other part of this personality. But over time, when you are together, you find things are becoming new and new. So if you have not prayed for these things that are featuring now, you will get stuck and say, no, this relationship, I think, is not going to be healthy.
This is not the person I
married. It's not the person I wanted. It's not the person I wanted. So that's why when you involve God, God will see from afar that maybe after 5, 6, 10 years down the road, if maybe some kind of financial crisis comes in the home, you have maybe someone who will say, okay, let us manage this. If maybe some other crisis that is not necessarily financial comes, you have somebody who is patient and say, okay, let us work together and manage this. So there are things that you will not be able to see in a person when you want to get married. There are a few things that will keep coming up over time that you are not seeing this person. So that's why when you involve God first, God will help you to get the right person that's going to be fit for you.
Indeed. Thank you very, very much. I think we already gone past time, but I believe we've not wasted it. We've learned a lot. It's been an insightful. I think there's so many more questions that were coming, and I believe it will be good to ask them, and then we have them through. Let me check our inbox. We can just summarize, and then I'm gonna read it. Then maybe put them into one. Then just one of them is my brother called Manzi Geoffrey. Thanks, family bishop. God bless you. And, this is what they said. You explained well how background affects marriage and family life. However, I would like you to also address something deeper. The issue of emotional trauma that people carry from their background into marriage. Sometimes individuals grow up with wounds, maybe from unhealthy family environments or painful experiences, and they bring those into their new homes. It's often said a person gives what they have. How can such hidden traumas be identified and handled so they don't damage the marriage? And he went ahead and also added another question. Could you address the issue of masculinity in women within marriage, where a woman may take on controlling or dominant role in a way that disrupts harmony? How should this be understood and calculated to maintain balance in the home? I believe this was answered, but maybe you also yes, shed more a bit brief light on it. But I believe answered it. Then Jean-Pierre, it's true that partners are to complement each other, cover each other's weaknesses since they have become one. If one looks bad, the other one will look bad. They will rise and fall together. That was just a comment. I believe for Banzi, we can touch on the emotional trauma part. As for the other question, if you can also briefly talk about it, but I believe you had shared some light on it. So the stage is yours, and then from there, we can have closing remarks.
Okay, thank you very much. I think both of us are going to share on these points, the 2 points. Maybe let's first thank Jean-Pierre for the compliment he has made also. Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. In terms of the emotional trauma or wounds, you know, sometimes this might come in one or the other. Maybe I'm having a different background from her background. You know, sometimes let me give you an example. Me, I grew up in this rural setup, for example, and grew up in a refugee settlement where we had issues, very poor background, you know, the parents could not raise maybe money to buy exercise books, that kind of life. But for us, I mean, for her, she grew up, at least the parents were medical professionals. The father and the mother were medical professionals. So you can imagine these are different backgrounds altogether. Maybe I had my trauma of some kind, where I'm coming from, this kind of background where we're very poor, getting even a minimum in terms of clothes, in terms of maybe getting sales books. It's a problem. So you come up with that kind of background, and she's coming from a different background. So I think what is important is trying, instead of hiding maybe this so-called trauma, or maybe emotional hurt that you have had for some time, but you bring them on the table, and you have had this experience. I'm just quoting from my personal experience, and when you came up, every time we try to bring this experience, even when the children came up, you know, Sena, for example, now would walk maybe from maybe about 10 or 5 kilometers, maybe coming from home, going to school, for example. We say now our nearby church was maybe like 10 kilometers, and we are walking now. Sometimes when these children, when they are young, of course, they cannot imagine that kind of, and they were asking when they were still young now. By the way, that tell us now, you in your family, you are 8 years, I mean, you are 8 children, siblings. So tell us which car now you are using at home. You are talking of a car, not even a bicycle at home. And these young men they're innocent. So I remember Bob used to ask me this. Which kind of car? Was it now, was it like a minibus that's carrying 80 children, you know? But of course, when you bring those backgrounds on the table and you talk about them and how, so story by story you start healing. So that maybe might be experience, but others also might have had maybe other wounds or some kind of trauma. There's this young man, for example, might have lost the parents when he's still young, and the parents were not there. So now, and this other girl that maybe one is going to marry, he has both parents. So you can imagine there is a lot that this young man is expecting from this girl, but this girl also has parents, and becomes now, to balance the equation, but over time, if this girl is aware of that kind of background, she will provide also a solution to this young man because of the background that is coming from with no parents. So it is all about communication, and as you continue involving God and also reading the Word of God, so these wounds, slowly by slowly, will heal. So you are not going to tell me that, me, I'm going to get a person with no trauma, with no background, with no challenges in the background. These challenges will always be there. We're talking of the financial. We are talking of maybe someone not having parents. Maybe he's an orphan, but there are other wounds that might come in one or the other. Now, sometimes he's
Or they divorced.
or they divorced.
Yeah.
The parents divorced. So, but what is important is coming together. You talk about them,
Open up.
you open up. Now your spouse is going to help out to be able to come out of those and things will work. But if you want to pick up a person that you are going to be together, you are together and you have the same background, it may not work. And we are talking, of course, of those in terms of maybe those that are orphans, others maybe have parents that may have divorced. But the others also that coming from different setup, geographical setup. So one is coming maybe from Congo, another is coming from Uganda, one is coming from Tanzania, another is coming. So we should have those differences in life, but what's important is to bring them on the table. And I'm sure God will will help you to get out of those. So the second question, I think before
that, try to open up so that one will not find out later that you hid something from him.
Yes, transparency.
So yeah, transparency, yeah. So because whatever you pass through, make sure a person you're going to unite with is a person you can open up to and tell him what you passed through. Because sometimes people they somehow want to hide their backgrounds, what they pass through, depending on the person they're getting married to. He doesn't want that person to hear about it. That means that person, though you think you love him, but you don't love him enough. Because you want to hide him, that means you don't trust him or her. If you cannot trust her to give her your background, that means don't bother marry that person. A person you cannot open up to your heart and show him what you passed through. That means you're not fit to marry that person, because you have to hide a lot of things, and when you hide them, you get sometimes you reach a time when you can be stressed or depressed, because there are things you're hiding in your heart which you cannot open up, and somehow accidentally he might or she might talk about them without knowing you passed through them. Without knowing that you have that problem or you pass through that challenge, and he talks about it, possibly laughing, doing some funny things about, and you will be hurt because he doesn't or she doesn't know what you passed through. So if you cannot open up to a person, don't marry that person, because you will have to hide, and when you hide, you feeling some. It's like you're having a heavy burden you are carrying alone for the rest of your life, which is not good. That means you'll not be happy. You cannot be happily married when you are hiding something.
Yeah. For example, we are talking of the husband and the wife sharing information together, and there's how you can bring it in terms of the informal kind of conversation. You don't have to bring it so much in terms of being structured, as you are communicating each other, you bring it up. So, about this kind of background. I remember when Bob, I think, was still young, so I would just show them the scars I was having all over my body, the legs and what I've said. That what happened to you?
Which dog bit you?
Yeah, bite you. You seem to be having so many scars. I told you, no, for us, we grew up in a forested area, and we would go and fall down, and then maybe firewood, and the tree would crush you, and we're always having wounds. So that's why I would explain to them that, me, I have these scars because of the background that I grew up in, that kind of rural setup in a forested area. Sometimes also would joke and say, now, by the way, Mama, for you, at least, for example, you were born in a hospital, but me, I might have, I was born under the banana tree,
banana plantation,
because I didn't have a gynecologist, we didn't have any doctor. We would get just an old lady who had a grandmom. She was working she was doing the gynecological work, and she had never gone to primary. So we would just bring those stories. Say, me, some of us we are lucky to have had this kind of background. We didn't go to the hospital. We were born in the banana plantations, but here we are. So you bring up now those
We walked with no shoes, barefooted.
Cool, but here we are. So you bring those kind of
Even you show how God is merciful.
Merciful.
Yeah. From that deep background, and now here we are. We went to school, we finished university. Though we studied under a tree, and they started their primary school was under trees.
Yes,
their classrooms were trees. So like we tell them we studied under trees and we had no blackboard, we had no chalk. So like we make it fun, but they would understand how people suffered and they sorry for that.
For example, we would do our homework from our thigh. You write in your thigh, on your thigh, then the teacher comes and marks from the thigh. Or you would put in the dust, your homework, the teacher gives you homework on the dust, and then it comes and marks you in the dust. So a person of this 21st century might not understand that, but it's good when you keep now sharing those experiences. One can even be sympathetic, and over time, those emotions somehow they get fixed slowly by slowly. So
I went to school one time, I failed. I got the worst marks and whatever, but after some time,
because of poor performance, but then after some time, I improved.
I prayed and God helped me. I improved. Then life went continued like that. So you show them both sides. You don't show that everything was ever good, and bed of roses everywhere. Yeah, sometimes things went bad and sometimes they went good. I prayed about it. God helped me like this. Yeah, show them that all those lifestyles were there.
And you bring the idea of God.
That's why I bring God in.
Yeah. So with that question, then you can go to the second question about where sometimes you get married this lady and she wants you to dominate. I think she talked about it, about where ladies today, they say they are claiming their rights. I think we have to go back to the biblical model because it's very clear. The Bible says that this man is the head of the family, is the head of the family. And therefore, God, as God of order, he set up the institution and how to have order in that family, in that home. And by having, he set up structures, God, the husband is the head, and others are supporting. But being the head also, it's unfortunate that some men might misuse this. Okay, they abuse this as now I'm the head, and therefore if I'm the head, my word is final. No, this is not different from organization that maybe you come across, maybe business organization or maybe government organization or whatever. There are people that make that organization, and the organization has to have order. So if it is it's a business organization, for example, there has to be a CEO, and under the CEO you have directors. Under directors you shall have also other staff members. So if this woman, if this wife now comes to claim to be a CEO, there is no organization that will have two CEOs. The husband is the CEO. The wife comes also to claim to be a CEO. You can imagine the two CEOs now in the home. This home will be chaotic, But for the order to prevail in the home, we have to respect the order that God instituted, that the husband is the head. But being the head does not mean that he has to be a dictator. No, this wife has to complement. Like now in any other organization, you may have a CEO, but also these are directors or maybe assistant CEO will come and support the CEO. They work together as a team. So it doesn't mean that maybe if I'm the head, that I have to dictate over her. No, she has to respect that for the order to prevail in the home. But again, when you involve God in these matters, God will give you some kind of humility, and you humble yourselves. And when there is this humility, then the home will run very well. But the moment you start now claiming your rights, they told us that, we as women now we have missed our rights for quite some time. Now this is a time for us to wake up now and rule over these men. it's going to be chaotic and things will be bad. So I advise that you try to respect the order that God has put in place. Of course, the world will bring whatever theories and whatever, say, no, you women now, you know, for quite some time, this is the time now to wake up now, you know. So at the end of the day, these things, as long as they are not biblical, yes, the world is trying to have their philosophy. But at the end of the day, let us take the catalog. Our catalog is the Bible, and see and hear what the Bible says. And once we get the biblical principles, then things will be in harmony. You want to add something as far as maybe women claiming to have their rights and then they want to, you know?
Yeah, when women claim to have their rights and they want to control the home, of course, even if the husband may seem to be weak, but when you, in a happy family or in a stable family, you act in a way that you give the man his space, his authority as the head of the family, and that woman, if the woman tries to be like the controller of the home, then it will not come out. That's when arguments will come in the home. That's when that brings argument in the home, when the woman starts thinking that she can control the house because possibly she's stronger in a way. And that home might not be a happy home. That the chances of that home being happy is really they are less, because the woman is doing what she's not supposed to be doing, or she's acting in a way she's not supposed to be acting. If you are a woman, even if you are strong or whatever, but you have to show to act as a wife, not a husband in a home. If a woman starts to act like a husband, that means that home might not be happy. You can live together, but you might live together, but not a happy family. It's possible you're not divorced, but you might live that in a way that even the children in your family will see that there is a problem in that home, and they will not like to have homes because they have seen a lot of problems in the home. So when the lady starts to dominate and wants to do everything on her own, she doesn't want to listen to the husband's advice, then the home might be there. It might not even break, but it will not be a happy home.
Yeah, over to you, Ivan.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think with that, we've come to the end of our session, and I want to thank you for your time, dedicating it for all this time we've been with you. And I believe for us as young people, there's a lot we've learned: communication, prayer, lots of insights you've shared. And I believe with our other colleagues that have shared their questions, we want to thank you for answering them as well. I believe with that, I would request, I don't know if we can close with a word of prayer. And if you don't mind, you can bless us with a word of prayer as we end the session, and after that, people can unmute as we depart, and maybe Shaun can also close us down. So thank you very much.
Okay. Shall we pray? Father in heaven, thank you so much for having this wonderful session that you have shared with the young people. We know that you instituted marriage, and our young people are trying to get some insights on how they're going to move. I pray that you guide them, you provide all the guidance, provide wisdom, understanding to them, so that they can make the right choices. And for those that maybe might have had also to make choices, I pray that in their journey, you'll be able to guide them in their journey so they can have a successful relationship. And we pray that they get connected to you and you alone. Once they involve you, once they invite you in their plans, surely you'll be able to give them the best package that is different from what we are providing, because for us, we are human beings and we are limited. But for you, you can provide the best package for them. Let them seek your guidance, provide them the best that is possible, so they can be able to have a healthy relationship in the future as they get married. And it's not a question of getting happiness in this world per se, but it's also important for them to prepare for your second coming, so that as they get good spouses, then they'll be able to be stable. And when they are stable, they become good candidates for heaven. I pray that you bless their plans. And for those that are in school, guide them in school. For those that are working, I pray that you bless them wherever they are working. But above all, let them be connected to you spiritually day by day, so that they can be able to witness also to others. Grant us all the blessings of the evening. Continue to protect each one of us from any harm and danger. Till we meet again, for this I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 So I think we can unmute and say hello to each other. And if Sharon, there's anything you want to announce or say, feel free.
Yeah, so for me, it's just a vote of thanks. We have been looking forward to hosting you both here, and thank you so much for honoring our invitation. As you noticed, a lot of our youth were able to stay on the live discussion. We recorded this session, so we are going to share the YouTube recording so that you can share with more people that weren't able to come. Please continue to pray for our group. It's called This Is the One. Praying that God may answer the prayers of several members who are looking for godly relationships and marriages. And thank you for being an inspiration and for taking your time again to discuss with us.